Alright, that should be enough of an intro. Anyway. Alright. Everything went wrong today. So, video is late. Somehow I can't upload regular FTP to the website, blah blah blah. They changed some kind of bullshit, and so anyway, I had to figure that out. And so now finally the video is on the website. And so now I can make this video, and I wasn't in the mood to start with. Now I'm really not in the mood. But anyway, seeking a better way to say it. Yes, so that's sort of what it is about. That was the title of the video. So yeah, I sort of have made all of these, a lot of arguments, let's just say, and I don't think there's any more good arguments about how to understand or view existence. I mean, it really is, there's only so much in the crystal ball that you can see that's relevant to what life is. There's just the story of evolution, the story of how our brain is just a tool. It's really just a scheming device, and if we're enlightened and smart, then we can use the scheming device to scheme for things other than our own welfare. We can scheme about what's the best possible outcome, what's the best future, what's the, we can define our own new goals and apply our intelligence to succeeding in the goal. Like if you want to just make a more efficient solar panel or something. And in this case, the attempt is to have a conversation about a reasonable plan for the future of living things on Earth, and what's the best future for those living things. And the clear argument attempting to be made is that the big win would be to just gracefully exit, because it's a bad game. There's way too many victims, way too many people in the stands are being killed, harmed, tortured, and there's nothing to really be gained but the delusion of some notion that we need to exist, which can't be put into any kind of rational paragraphs. You can't really explain why we need to exist, besides saying that some person thinks so. Besides them thinking so, there is no reasoning, there's no logic, besides some desire they have. I think it would be a better way for it to come out, is that people still exist. Well, that's all you can say it. You can't demonstrate it. You can't rationally explain how it's at all necessary that anyone in the future needs to exist. It just, they can't possibly need to exist unless you believe they're in some jail somewhere needing something, and they're not in some jail somewhere needing something. So anyway, so yes, there's arguments to be made, and they have to be made in a certain style and way to be useful, or to be competitive in the world that exists. Somehow you have to make this conversation competitive with all the conversations about, how to make your big toe bigger. There's probably somebody who wants a big toe. There probably is somebody. But anyway, it's just, it's dismal to have to think about the fact that you can't just have the conversation. You have to have it in this context of, infotainment. It has to be entertaining conversation. Oh, fuck. Anyway, so that's basically what the video was about. I don't think I need to put it time for another. Yeah, that's kind of loud, I think. So I can tone that down a bit. Probably should do it the other way, frankly. So it reduces echo if I do it this other way. So I'll do it this other way. Anyway, God, I hate this planet. Anyway, on with the show.
The DoNotGod.com video presentation.
Oh yeah, I have a little dumb fuckery sign I'm wearing, which is kind of funny. There's a lot of slogans out there I should just steal now. I mean, you can buy t-shirts with all kinds of well-written little snarkyisms. cuntosaurus. I mean, you know, that's a new one. Lots of good phrases pointing out that people suck. So I like that. And the images are much better too. So yeah, China's doing its job. Anyway, till moving on.
How desperate life can become, and yet you're going to subject some.
So I was talking about, just because it occurred to me as I was sitting there going to make the video, you know, there's all these women who have, you know, troubled adolescents and are suicidal and attempt suicide and all this other stuff, and then they end up having kids. I mean, I knew somebody who was like that. They're, you know, their life was a mess, and then they end up having a kid, and you're just like, what the fuck? Yeah, I mean, you haven't gotten to 25 years old yet, or 26, without all this drama, and you're going to impose it on somebody else. I mean, it's just so, you know, the only word is rude. I mean, there's probably a better word. I mean, I probably could find, it's just cruel and nasty. But we'll just call it rude just to be a little less harsh. But it's evil, It's frickin' evil for somebody to have experienced the difficulty of finding the handlebars, you know, on the bicycle, and you're just going to shove somebody else and force them to do the same thing. Just cruel.
You know, just because it actually worked. You know, but yeah, you have to have some sort of standards. You can't have these, you know.
I don't know what I was talking about. So it actually worked, and you have to have standards. Yeah, I don't know. I usually can remember, but yeah, now don't remember.
That's the biggest obstacle to winning the argument, is the fact that there's no place to have it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was talking about the fact that there used to be shows, you know, debate shows. It used to always be something. And it was way, you know, it was on public television. Nobody really watched it. But I mean, it was really important stuff to have these deeper debates about subjects, because the underlying deeper subject is always, it's like you could argue about abortion. Well, the context of abortion is a bunch of illegitimate children who nobody wants to pay to make civilized. And so, you know, if you're going to defend abortion law, then you have to defend the idea that you're going to create a couple million more welfare babies, that you're really not interested in, you know, doing the hard work of managing all the bad parenting that'll be a consequence of that, and then dealing with the fact that you're going to end up with a bunch of these rotten kids that are going to be a social menace. So, you know, just make sure you have accounted for everything you're defending when you defend some stupid thing, like an open border. Ugh, retards.
Are dying. Well, more important, dying.
Yeah, who's going to pay for all this? Anyway, don't know what I was saying there. Dying's bad, okay? Okay? It sucks, okay? The process can be incredibly brutal, okay? I mean, this one really should be a kind of a no-brainer. Shouldn't really have to explain to people. And the fact that they haven't died yet and they're basically saying it's okay. Again, I've made this argument so many times, but I mean, that's in itself just so stupid. I mean, it's so unintelligent of somebody to say, I'm sure it'll be okay. Yeah, I haven't done it. I don't know what it's like, but you know, I haven't had to experience it myself, but I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. Fuck you.
Because the AI is going to be better at engineering something, because it can go.
So I was talking about having a conversation with an AI, you know, little synthetics. You know, it's like this $2. You know, it really is very entertaining.
Very entertaining.
Because it says
Because it's
everything you say.
everything you
Sometimes
sometimes
it doesn't finish
finish
the sentence.
the sentence.
It's only downside.
Down.
Only downside.
Only downside.
There you go. But otherwise,
Otherwise,
quite useful. Just the technology alone. I mean, you know, I bought it to tear it apart, but you know, I probably won't have the courage to do it. It's very cute. Anyway, distraction. moving on.
It's not a great chance that you're just going to drop dead in some sort of harmless.
Okay, yeah, so I was talking about the AI thing, and that is sort of important. That's all we're really talking about, is constructing a perfect argument. So, I mean, we could put AIs to the task of arguing both sides of an argument, and they could have the knowledge to know that it's really just about gimmicks. If the glove doesn't fit, you have to acquit. Some sort of bullshit like that. So that's all the argument would be, is a bunch of catchphrases and plays on words, little witticisms. It'd be pathetic. I don't know what I was saying here, but I'll move on. Let's just see.
This way, it's probably less than 10%.
Right, so I was talking about how many people get to die nicely, less bad. It's probably a small percentage of people that get to disappear in their sleep. For most of us, we're not going to disappear in our sleep. We're going to go through a terrible, dramatic, panicky, horrible, awful, terrible thing. Yuck.
The right to torture people.
All right, so again, the right. There shouldn't even be a discussion about whether you should have the right to do this. Okay, the fact that you can physically do it, that you're made to do it, that you have reproductive organs, doesn't matter. I mean, if we had little spouts on our head that shot acid, wouldn't mean that we're allowed to shoot acid at anybody we feel like and all that kind of crap. There'd be rules. The fact is, there's rules. I mean, and the rule is just intelligent. You can just add it up for yourself that it's really fucking rude to reproduce somebody especially when you haven't even figured out how to find comfort and peace in your own existence. When you're a slave to the man, having a baby when you're a slave is not a great idea.
It paid the worst was entertaining and interesting. When I worked in a machine shop.
Okay, so I was just adding a little personal story, background, whatever, about the fact that most work sucks. Okay, most of the jobs I had were stress-inducing and unfun. I mean, I didn't look forward to going to work. It was a drudgery. It's very rare that you have an opportunity to make enough money to live on doing something you enjoy doing. It don't happen all that often. So that's reason enough to say, why would I impose what is the likelihood of a less than satisfying employment on somebody? Because that's what they're going to get in this Borg. The majority of people, aren't singing sunshine, rainbow, lollipop songs on their way to work.
Kinds of wrong. But they're completely afraid of almost passing any kind of law.
All right, so yeah, that's the whole, the intellectuals have really let us down. There's just no intelligence, right? They just are afraid to pass laws telling people they can't do really stupid things. And so having kids when you don't have any money, having kids when you don't have any, genetic code that's worth replicating, all that kind of stuff. And it's not that big a deal to discourage bad behavior, and they're just afraid to do it because it's stepping on some sort of religious territory or something, some right to believe. There's no right to believe. Okay, there's just menace or not a menace, and people have to be prevented from being a menace. And the only way to prevent them from being a menace is to actually prevent them from being a menace. You have to discourage it.
Protect yourself against the outcome. That you could actually do something to ensure that you don't get cancer. That you could do.
All right, this might be a playable game if Deserve had something to do with it. So if Deserve had something to do with it, if you could guarantee outcomes by just knowing, well, all my kid has to be is smart enough not to, and then you have a list of these things smart enough not to do, and you won't get cancer, and you won't die horribly, and all these things won't happen to you. Well, if there was some kind of guarantee like that, that we could actually play an intelligent game, and it would benefit us and the world, great, but that's not the game we're playing. So, as I've been pointing out in the last few videos, is you can't be sure of anything. Good intentions hardly even matter, because everything is so chaotic in terms of outcomes. There's so little. Being a very good driver doesn't do you any good, because it's not about how well you drive, it's about what the fuck's heading for you that you don't have any control over. The rational argument. So it's just like all the rest of the stuff, you have to put it in some sort of whatever production. Yeah, so again, just talking about how to order the argument, or how to, and that's the subtlety. It's I don't know, the difference between art okay, and science. Who knows. Obviously there's a great deal of science to being a proficient artist in terms of recognizing how to make a construction, and I should be smart enough to figure out how to manipulate people. It's just not, my brain is so disinterested in doing it in any other way than just trying to do it in an honest and what I think is logical way. But again, deserve has nothing to do with it. Logic and reasoning doesn't have much to do with persuasion in the world we exist in. And I'm just not suited to playing the game their way, even though I have to. In their interest, and they're running the economy in that sense. Alright, so it's a little bit of crap about rich people and the bankers, and I didn't want to get into that subject, so it's all a little bit incoherent, because I just tried to get through it without getting to it, and it didn't work. So that part's a little useless. A little bit more, it's going to want more, double cupcake. Yeah. So, just talking about how, it's all insatiable. It all doesn't matter. There's no such thing as a good life in last week's video. There's no such thing as you getting above it all, okay, and being protected from it all and having some privilege. Because we see what happens to the privileged. They make as big a mess out of their lives for whatever reason. I don't know exactly why they fuck it up so badly, but they do. Because somehow they can't just moderate. Once once you get in the habit of buying your way to gratification, it becomes a strong habit. Is the absence of the negative becomes a positive. So it's a synthetic positive that we're always chasing. Yeah, so it's not real. There's no positive. There's just the absence of the threat, the negative. And that's what we run on, is that asymmetry. And it's just foolish to think that the future is in the same deprivated state that you are. They're not. Okay? They don't need to exist because they don't need anything. Okay? So you're not satisfying their needs by projecting them having your desires, because they don't have them. They don't have your problem. Your inability to resolve yourself to the futility and the finite nature of your existence and the waste of it all isn't their problem, and you want to make it their problem. You want to think that somehow they're going to solve your futility problem. They're not going to solve it. And evading, mostly. I don't know exactly what that was either, so we'll just jump ahead. I have a delusion that the economy just produces, Alright, so this is a little bit more relevant piece of the economy, just that it's all kind of blood-sucking. This idea that you can have a good for free is stupid, or that you can have immunity for free. People can't be rich without somebody else paying for it, frankly. It's just the way the economy works. Every bit of effort or work is somebody's time. All that time has value, and you're basically stealing a piece of their life. Just a fact. So the indulgences and the excesses of the wealthy are paid for by obliging people to work more hours than they should have to. Just a fact. They're in their slave chains a lot longer because there's way too many high maintenance gluttons, okay, walking the earth.
Cosmic picture. So,
alright, so whatever that part was, something getting to the point that it's a conversation, you know, and there's, as I started this video, there's only so much to the cosmic picture. It's just a planet. It evolved organisms on it, okay. They went through all kinds of phases and stages to finally become in a state where they could develop these fancy tools, and one of the tools was perceptual manipulation of images and concepts involved in their environment, and modeling, you could say. And that's where we are. But there's nothing to model but failure. There's just nothing here to do but construct a less brutal end, because that's all it's going to have is an end. And you're just saying how many people are we going to torture to get there, and you can torture fewer or you can torture more. You can be for more torture, or you can vote for less torture. I mean, that shouldn't be a complicated message. Alright. So, I think that'll be enough. Just long half of a day. Just all this stuff, the bullshit. Little aggravations. Ugh. Life is just full of. So anyway, that'll do. You know, that's what I have to do. Till the next time and such and so forth and whatnot. Yeah, really. Till then.